Significant breaking news just into our newsroom from Ramona Shelburne and Brian Windhorst. Clippers superstar Kawhi Leonard is expected to miss tonight's Game 5 against Utah with a right knee injury and could be out for the remainder of the series. He tweaked that knee on a drive late in the Game 4 win, grimacing in pain as he planted on his way to the basket. We talked about it a bit yesterday. We didn't see that necessarily being the significant issue that it appears now that it may be. That's one piece of significant basketball news. Here's another. Phoenix star point guard Chris Paul has entered the NBA's health and safety protocol and is out indefinitely, jeopardizing his availability for the Western Conference Finals. A source confirming that news to ESPN. It was first reported by The Athletic that Paul would be sidelined indefinitely as a result of entering the protocol. If Paul is already vaccinated against COVID, he could be facing a shorter absence from the Suns. So there are a lot of moving pieces in all of this, and my understanding is we're trying to get Seth Greenberg back, and we do have him. Seth, thank you very much for racing back in front of the camera. So let's go first off to the Clippers and the Jazz. That series has been so hard fought. Kawhi so good in big moments in this postseason. He was very good in Game 4. What chance do the Clippers have of winning tonight without him?
It's really difficult. I mean, you think with Kawhi Leonard, it's not just points, it's rebounds, it's his defense, it's his 50-50 balls, it's his way he keeps plays alive on the glass. I mean, you don't replace Kawhi Leonard, and he makes big plays at the end of the games. Everyone talks about three-level scorers. He's not only a three-level scorer, he's a three-level defender because he can block shots, he can contest you, he can stop you from catching the ball where you want to catch it, and then he gets you extra possessions in hustle plays and on the offensive glass. I mean, that's one guy that they can't replace. And look, more pressure on playoff P, I guess. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. But you can't replace Kawhi Leonard. I mean, that's just the way it is. He's just too good, and he's a winning player. And what is a winning player? A guy that at the end of the game you can count on. That dude at the end of the game, offensively and defensively, you can count on.
So a team that has won its last two games and looked all of a sudden like it had that momentum we've been waiting for a long time to see from them, now facing at least tonight without their best player. And then you see the words on your screen, could miss remainder of this series. That could tilt absolutely everything as we go here. And so how do you approach that if you're a coach? If you lose your best player in this circumstance, and you don't just throw it in and say, well, guys, it's unfortunate that it went this way. Give me an approach from the Clippers tonight and Utah.
Well, the great thing about the Clippers, they've played without Kawhi this year. I don't know exactly what their record is, but it's, when you talk about load management, this is a Clipper organization that has dealt with that throughout the season. So it's not like they haven't had a lineup without Kawhi Leonard. They're going to have to be that team. Now, what are they going to have to do? All right, well, they're going to have to make sure that they take care of the basketball. They've got to have someone else step up. They've got to make sure that they're that much more connected defensively. There are things that they're going to have to do. Now, they're playing against a team that's also limping in because they're probably going to be playing without Mike Conley. So you talk about two teams without impactful players. I think that this situation becomes a little bit more difficult because you're looking at the Jazz. The Jazz have beaten the Clippers without Conley. We don't know what the Clippers can do without Kawhi on this stage in this moment.
To your point, you see Hembo with the stat there on your screen. The Clippers were 11-9 without Kawhi this season, but the stakes are obviously so different. Then we turn our attention to Chris Paul, who has a star-crossed history in the postseason with a variety of injuries that have gone a long way towards keeping him from ever getting to the NBA Finals. And now he has this team that is playing so well, and they sweep their way through Denver, and they're sitting and they're waiting. The wait might actually wind up working extremely well for him. The soonest they could play would be Sunday, Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. If there was a Game 7 between Utah and the Clippers, they wouldn't play until next Tuesday. So he has that going for him. But clearly, Seth, if they were to have to play without Chris Paul, that would be an enormous loss for the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, it's devastating. It's Chris Paul who makes all the right plays, who everyone turns to when the game is on the line. Chris Paul who basically is the leader of this team every which way possible. Just not having him in practice, not having him in your facility, not having him around your team, a young team that looks for someone to basically give them direction besides Coach Williams. I mean, to me, it's huge. Now, here's the big question. If this other series continues to move on, I can't imagine a scenario where Chris Paul doesn't play. I can't imagine a scenario where Chris Paul doesn't eventually get back and play in that final series. So will he miss one game? Will he miss no games? I'm not sure. But you take Chris Paul away from that team, all right, every team has a heartbeat. And Chris Paul is the heartbeat of the Phoenix Suns. As good as Devin Booker is, as good as Ayton has been, as good as this team has played, whether it's Bridges defensively running the floor, you'd have to have someone that's going to facilitate to get the ball to people on time, on target, initiate the fast break, make that advance pass. But more importantly, when things go a little south, you need someone that can bring that group together and say, all right, let's get to the next play. It's one stop. It's one good offensive possession. All right, at the end of a game, he's going to make the right play. So there's no replacement for Chris Paul. He's one of those unreplaceable players, and it has as much to do with his leadership as to do with his play on the floor.
It's a sensitive topic as well, but his vaccination status will go a long way towards determining how long he is gone. And to your point about his leadership, in COVID protocol, he'll be completely separated from everyone. So it's not like he can even be there at practice, can be there in meetings, can be around the team, regardless of which way it goes for some period of time. And again, we do not know. So if you're just joining us, the enormous breaking news, Kawhi Leonard will miss at least tonight's Game 5 for the Clippers against Utah with a knee that he hurt late in Game 4. It could be a longer absence than that. And Chris Paul has entered the league's COVID protocol. We do not have any idea yet just how long he'll be apart from his team. Seth, thank you a million for what a night.
I didn't even think about nothing but just each possession. You know, I was just trying to win each possession, and I didn't think about how many points I had or shot attempts. I did play every minute, so, you know, that helped with my point total.
For him to have the toughness, the mentality, you know, that's what makes him one of the all-time greats. And so this is a performance that, you know, a signature performance, you know, for Kevin, and it was beautiful to watch.
I mean, the numbers are unbelievable. He plays the entire game and led both teams outright in points, rebounds, and assists. As you see on your screen, that had been done only 4 times previously in NBA history, and that is a list of royalty that he joins last night. LeBron and Wilt and Oscar. No last names necessary for that group. Or this. PJ and Seth are with us this morning. They get up with us to break this thing down. And PJ, I'll give you credit. You were on here yesterday and you said Durant is going to need to be super efficient on the offensive end and he's going to need someone to come with him. And he was that, and he got Jeff Green last night. How did you see it?
Well, it's easy to predict what Kevin's going to do. I mean, he's such a great player, and he's going to play better in the bigger games. And what blew me away, Greeny, was not just the points. Kevin says, well, I played 48 minutes, so I had a lot of points. It's the other things he did. Here's a block shot and a rebound. I mean, he completely filled the sheet, and then he takes it up the court. He put it on the floor. He beat him there. Everybody said, why can't you double him? You can't double him because he brings the ball up himself. There's another steal. He's 3rd in blocks and 4th in steals. There's an assist to Jeff Green. He and Jeff Green were so good together. But he defended. He does a nice job keeping Giannis away from the rim. Another rebound. I mean, the numbers he put up were staggering. That shot, you call it, the shot that blew me away was the one, James Harden was in trouble, top of the key. He runs up to get the ball away from James. The clock's on his back, and he just one bounce, nails it. He wasn't even hitting the rim with those 3-point shots, Greeny.
He was unconscious last night. And Seth, when you were on with us earlier this morning, you said it was an easy 49. What did you mean by that?
It wasn't easy 49 because he never was rushed. He was never out of his comfort zone. He never chased a shot. The hardest shot and the most difficult shot he took was that one late when the shot clock was running down. He took what the defense gave him. Now, he can get a shot anytime he wants it. Anytime he wants it, right, P? But you know what? When he drove into traffic and the defense rotated, you know what? He found Green on the weak side, and all of a sudden Lopez had to close out on a long closeout, and Green was knocking down those threes. So, you know, to me, it's not that he was chasing 50. It was not that he was trying to take over the game. He did it subtly. He did it by taking what the defense gives him. And to me, he made the shots that he got because he got to his spots. And then when the defense took something away from him, he made the right play. His basketball IQ is off the chart. His feel is off the chart. Let me ask you something, PJ. Underrated. Harden, 8 assists, 43 minutes, didn't make any shots, but he was like a quarterback in the pocket, just looking over the defense, saying, all right, they're switching that. I'm going to hit the slip. Bam. Like, that was an understated performance by Harden, don't you think?
He played 46 minutes, Seth, and he had 6 boards on top of that. I don't want to kill some guys, but he had other guys on the team, had they made their shots, he'd have had double-digit assists. But he found KD on a cross pass. He found Joe Harris on a back door. He saw the floor, and to a man after the game, they talked about how much he could have had no assists and no rebounds, and it was so important for his teammates to see him out there. I mean, he just looked like a shell of himself in terms of physically what he could do. But again, the basketball IQ and the way he sees the floor is off the charts.
Super quick, PJ. Do they win the series? Do the Nets, if they can they get that again? Can they win one more of the next two?
Oh, sure, they can, but it's not over for Milwaukee. This series, they've played 8 times now. The home team's won every time. I don't know if James is going to be able to go on Thursday. We're going to be there. Jonesy and DB are there. Sean Kelly and I are there. It's going to be an ESPN party in Milwaukee, so it's going to be great, and there may be a Game 7 come Saturday.
Should be really good. Yes, that would be Saturday night. Guys, thank you both so much for getting up. Outstanding. We'll have Jalen later in this hour. Much more perspective on